If you guys want some gamer subs, make sure to use code GM for 10% off. Thanks. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's gmeiners here, and with Arc 3.0 just around the corner, we're going over 5 must-have Arc weapons for next season. This list is kind of centered around the best options that are going to exist for the new raid as well. You aren't going to have much time to get these starting Season 18, so make sure you get these god rolls now while you still can. On this list, we have 3 different primaries, 1 special weapon, and 1 heavy. If you guys do like this video and want a part 2 with some extra weapons, make sure to let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you do enjoy the content, don't forget to drop a like and sub. Subbing takes 2 seconds, it's completely free, and you can always unsub later. If Arc 3.0 comes out strong, I think having a primary similar to Funnel Web for Void and Callus Mini Tool for Solar is going to be the biggest help. And I would say right now, even though it isn't a 900 RPM, Ikelos SMG is the best Arc SMG in the whole game. The current mod meta is also pretty ass right now. Elemental Well builds are kind of useless in endgame PvE unless you're using them to get charged with light or proc Phantomite, or unless we get some OP seasonal mod that requires them. But Warmind Cell mods, on the other hand, are much stronger, which Ikelos will be able to generate. Warmind Protection and Fire Team Medic specifically are some of the best team-based mods for survivability right now. The role you are going to want on Ikelos is going to be Threat Detector in the first slot, and then either Surrounded or Demolitionist in the second slot. Threat Detector ×2 makes this weapon feel like a gem with increased reload, handling, and stability, and then Surrounded will make it hit a lot harder, or Demo will be great for grenade builds. This is one of those weapons that even if I'm not on Arc, I will still probably be using at some point during the new raid. If you guys happen to need a role for this weapon, Xur and Banshee should both sell it, but I know 100% Xur sells it on the weekends. After SMGs, I think that pulse rifles are the next best weapon type for endgame content, especially if you need some range. Right now, there are a few arc pulses in the game, but I find that harder hitting pulses are better for the added flinch to enemies. And right now, the only aggressive pulse with arc is the Insidious. The other reason I think that this is the best fit for people to get for the next raid is because it's completely craftable as well. The Soul Drinker origin trait is another reason that makes this pulse stand out against others. Just by hitting enemies and then reloading, you're going to get pretty large chunks of health straight back. And having used Val weapons consistently, this trait comes in clutch. As far as roles for the weapon goes, I would say there are a few pretty good options. Stats for All and One for All are always a good combo to have, but in my experience with aggressive frames, I typically just focus on one enemy at a time. Demolitionist and Adrenaline Junkie could also be another solid pair of perks for extra damage and grenade regen, but overall I think my favorite perk on aggressive frame pulses is just Rapid Hit for the extra reload speed, especially since the base reload is so low. The issue is that there isn't anything great to pair with Rapid Hit. I think Vorpal could be nice, especially if we get something like Anti-Barrier Pulse Rifle, but other than that, nothing great pairs with Rapid Hit. I would say overall, if you can use it effectively, Stats for All and One for All are the best perk pair, followed by just having Rapid Hit. To get rolls for this weapon or to craft it, you earn everything through the Vow of the Disciple raid. And then lastly, guys, for primaries, we have something that a lot of people tend to sleep on, which is the Contingency Plan. This is a legendary 260 RPM scout rifle, which feels pretty damn good. And I wanted to put a scout on this list over a hand cannon because I just haven't felt that hand cannons have been good for endgame content for a little while now. Scouts have been getting better and better each season, and I personally think that rapid fire frames seem to feel the best. The only major exception to this is when you're using a scout which has explosive payload, but on Contingency Plan, the main perk that you want is obviously going to be Frenzy. This 15% damage boost at all times is going to make it feel much more like a lightweight frame in terms of its impact, and then our reload speed and handling will also feel great. In the first slot, I think that Firmly Planted could be super good if you're sitting far back and you're on controller, but otherwise I would probably just take Outlaw for the max reload speed whenever you end up getting a precision kill or just something like Surplus. If you guys do need to get your hands on one of these, Contingency Plan is also randomly purchasable from Banshee 44 in the tower. Up next is the most goated weapon in Destiny 2 right now, which is the Forbearance Waveframe Grenade Launcher. This weapon is also from Vow of the Disciple, so once again, we're going to get a huge amount of health back from the Soul Drinker origin trait, and then we also have the best perk combination for single shot grenade launchers in the game, which is Ambitious Assassin and Chain Reaction. This weapon takes wave frames, which are already top of their class for specials, and then brings them to a whole new level. Sometimes wave frames will suffer when shooting at larger groups of enemies that are spread out because of the narrow AoE it deals. Chain Reaction completely overrides this by just chain exploding everything nearby. And then after you get one kill, Ambitious stays permanently procced as long as you keep getting kills. Having 2 shots cuts the amount of time spent reloading in half for the entire ammo reserves, and also allows you to shoot twice to take out tankier enemies. Obviously, where wave frames tend to suffer is their reload speed, but the craftable version of this can easily get 90 reload. Compared to other randomly rolled wave frames, you aren't able to get extremely high reload speeds without a 5 out of 5 god roll. So basically, this weapon takes every single negative to using a wave frame and just removes it. And then lastly, the heavy weapon that I think most people expected, despite it being nerfed, is still Storm Chaser. At base, with the faster charging method we used to have, I think this dealt something like 30% higher DPS than Cataclysmic, and then with the nerf, it now is more or less exactly on par with Cataclysmic. Even though it isn't anything crazy, if Arc 3.0 comes out as strong as Solar 3.0 did, then this is going to pair extremely well with Font of Might. In the first slot, Clown Cartridge seems to be favored over something like Rapid Hit. I think all in all, these would probably come out to equivalent DPS, so either of these perks is going to be perfect. And then in your second slot, I think Firing Line is going to be the best bet. Vorpal Weapon is another solid option, but in general, if you're using a linear fusion rifle, you tend to be sitting still near teammates, so you should be able to maintain Firing Line. Frenzy, on the other hand, in my opinion, isn't a good DPS option because if there is any cooldown before DPS, which happens in a lot of raid encounters, then you miss out on the extra damage for 12 seconds until it's re-procced. Storm Chaser is available from the new Duality Dungeon. Farming second encounter is the most efficient way to farm this. These are 5 must-have weapons for Arc 3.0. Once again, the list was specifically made with endgame content in mind, where you play a bit more conservative, especially with the primaries. If I left something off this list that you think is a better option, make sure to let me know in the comments below, and then also let me know if you want to see a part 2 to this list. That's all for this video, guys. As always, have a good one. Peace.